So before I begin this very special episode reviewed, I want to briefly explain why I decided to remake this older episode and release it now. So for those of you who don't know, I've been doing this review show for a long time, and what makes this show special is that I've dedicated the past 3 years of my life to challenge myself to put out an episode every week without fail, and I have been very successful until, of course, I lost the record for 2 months when I went on my hiatus. Now, a while ago, I was scrolling through the playlist that I made for this show, and I noticed that my Toy Story 3 review was duplicated for some reason. I must have had problems uploading the episode and put both versions into a playlist that caused the duplicates. Then it happened. The worst thing that I could ever do to the show, I went to remove the duplicate episode, and somehow, I don't know how it happened, but somehow it ended up removing the original as well, which also meant that the episode was gone forever. This was, of course, by complete accident, and trust me, I felt awful about it. Now, at that moment, I was struggling to decide if I should just give up on the show, or accept it and move on and make more episodes. So, ultimately, I decided on the latter because I worked so hard to make this show happen every week, and because I knew I could never recover the episode. And obviously, seeing the gap between 59 and 61 wasn't pretty at all. In fact, one of my subscribers finally noticed it and called me out on it, despite the fact that I added to the description of the playlist that it was missing. And recently, I came up with a brilliant idea. Since I feel that review looks rather incomplete without that episode, why not remake it and release it on Thursday, the original release date, before I decided to move it to a Friday, and then have a regular episode on Friday. Now, as you may already know, that may not actually happen after all, because again, I'm having problems acquiring the movie, although I have recently just found out that it was shipped from the library just now, so at this point it's probably going to be next week. Then I thought, instead of just re-reviewing Toy Story 3, why not review Toy Story 4 as well? Since I'll probably never get to that movie anyway, because I have other movies on my list of movies to review before the show ends. And, with it being a remake of a lost episode, I thought I'd make it feel like the original episode, which is why you'll be seeing the old intro card as well as a mixture of my old and new intro. This is also why you see that I'm at a different camera angle, as well as having my background temporarily removed, as you can see, so I can do my best to recreate the episode. I also didn't take notes during the viewings of these movies, because honestly, I didn't do much of that back then. So without further ado, please enjoy this special episode of Reviewed. What is going on, everyone? It's the Ultimate Spy here, formerly known as Ultimate Spy 53, and welcome to another episode of Reviewed. Reviewed number 60. And today, I'm going to be reviewing both Disney Pixar's Toy Story 3, the sequel to Toy Story 2, and the third and originally the final installment in the then Toy Story trilogy, which is now a quadrilogy, and Disney Pixar's Toy Story 4, the sequel to Toy Story 3, and the fourth and final installment in the Toy Story quadrilogy. It's me and you, boy. So what did I think of Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 4? Well, first of all, I love them both, but I gotta say, I like Toy Story 3 a little more because of the plot. Now, Toy Story 3 came out 11 years after the second one, which is crazy. I mean, that's just like an insane amount of time, and because of that, they were able to improve the animation quality a lot. And obviously, all the voice actors came back, including Andy, actually. The original voice actor for Andy came back, and because he had matured enough, he was perfect for the older version of himself. We're perfectly, honestly. And because the animation quality changed, the animation modeling changed, obviously, because I know that they, when they were doing the third one, because they I don't think they ever planned to do a third one, but I think it was in the cards eventually, like, kind of like how 4 happened. So, with 3, they I don't know. I guess they just wanted to make it fresh, so they scrapped that models and redesigned them from scratch. I mean, they look better. They're basically the same, but like they did them again, and that's what makes the third one really really good. And although the fourth one is really amazing in its own way, and it has its own uniqueness, and it was a very solid end to the quadrilogy at this point. But I definitely felt like Toy Story 3 definitely had more of a climactic ending. It just felt more finished. And then they announced Toy Story 4. I'm like, well, that's great, but honestly, we didn't really need a Toy Story 4. Now, I mean, I get why. It's a great movie, honestly. It's fantastic, but honestly, the plot for 4 wasn't the best. Honestly, I really wish that Disney and Pixar had come up with a better idea for it. I mean, the idea of the fourth one is that there's a sport called Forky, and he's Bonnie's new toy. And with 3, it was Sunnyside. Now, because this episode is a remake, I kind of want to touch on both at the same time, kind of like compare the two, because these are the two Toy Story films that have the same animation quality. Now, the first two obviously were very similar because they were released within a few years of each other, and the third and fourth one only about 9 years. So there's a bit of a difference. I mean, some of the voices did change. Like Bonnie does not sound the same as she did in the third one, which makes sense because 9 years later we wouldn't be able to give the same actress because she's probably grown up by now. But yes, still, I thought the third one had a better plot because the end is grown up. He's going to college. The toys are still very loyal to him, especially Woody. He's like he wants to make sure he's there for Andy, who's going to college, and even Molly, who's his little sister, she's like a tween now. Like I think the first time she was like a baby, and now she's a lot older. Kind of like with the dog, Buster was it? I can't remember if that's the name of it. Basically, like it's the fact that he's gotten so old, he's not really energetic anymore. And 3 has a much better story because they're going to Sunnyside, and in terms of this washed up bear named Lotso, he's evil because he wants them to be kept in a room where the kids are just rowdy and they just abuse toys essentially. Not like Sid, but like they just abuse them. They just don't know how to play with them. And it turns out, Lotso's like, too bad, you're gonna be kept in here. I'm not letting you out. You're just gonna have to accept the fact that you're gonna basically get beat up, basically. And then basically it's like Woody is so loyal, and all those other toys are just like, you're not worth it. We're out of here, kind of thing. Toy Story 3 had good humor. I definitely enjoyed it a lot more than Toy Story 4. I didn't think Toy Story 4 was terrible. I don't know. It's a wonderful film. Don't get me wrong, but I definitely feel like that could have had a better plot than just Forky. Like, oh, it's funny the toys Forky and Woody can't lose them, that kind of thing. And I love the fact that 4, it has a lot of similar elements that 2 had. Like the music is very similar. Like the asteroid scene from the second one, the intro of that one, that same song plays when Buzz is going, after, I believe it's Forky or whatever. He's going after Woody or something like that. I can't remember exactly how it works, but yeah, it's wonderful. I really enjoyed that music piece, and I don't know. I just felt like 3 is better plot wise, but they're good in their own way. I also felt like 3 and 4 had unique villains that villains that were kind of turned sort of like Lotso is evil because he was replaced by his owner and because she forgot him, and then Gabby is this doll who can't find an owner. Like she was maybe abandoned or something like that, and she's obsessed with Harmony, this little girl, and she just doesn't know where her place is. But what's interesting about 4 is that Benson, this really creepy doll, he's the same toy as the creepy doll from the Goosebumps movies. I haven't seen them because I don't want to see them, but I've seen the poster and I've seen the trailer, and that's enough for me to go, okay, yeah, no. But the toy of Benson is the same toy that is in the movies, the terrifying doll. But I think he might even be in a Goosebumps TV show, which was more terrifying actually than the movie. I think the movie was a straight up comedy, but the TV show was actually just horror. It was directly based off the books, and the books are meant to be like a Halloween style horror books. They're dreadful because they're so terrifying. But at the same time, 3, I don't know. If I were to compare the two of them, 3 felt stronger, because we got to see Andy kind of transition to that, and also kind of pass the torch because Bonnie's the new caretaker. She's the new kid, and not only Andy had to go accept that, but Woody had to accept that too. Like he basically wanted to clean to Andy as Bo Peep says in Toy Story 4, you can be the one who's so clean to some kid. It's like she's got a point. Yeah, no, I really thought that 3 was better. I also gave Barbie a stepping up point because in the second one, which was my favorite, by the way, probably my favorite out of all 4. I mean, I'll list my top 4, in order of the ones I liked more at the end of this review. But in the second one, Barbie was introduced, and among others, kind of like Buzz, how he has other buzzes too in the toy shop there in Al Toy Barn. But she doesn't really have a place among the toys. Like other than the Toy Story 2, there's not much really to go on. But then you have her meet Ken, who's technically a girl's toy. He's a Ken doll, and crazy enough, she immediately falls in love with him, kind of thing. It's crazy. But at the same time, I definitely liked Toy Story 3 a lot more. It just kind of had a better story, had a better villain. The villain, I don't know, like he was a lot more ruthless. For Gabby wasn't really much of a villain. She was just like, she was creepy. She was like demanding Woody's voice box, which is just like, oh my god. And obviously Benson is terrifying as Forky notes, but also Forky in general. He's an interesting character. He's an interesting toy. He's not really much of a toy because Bonnie literally makes him, and he's basically a spork. Probably my least favorite toy design in the entire franchise. Ugh. Yeah, I was not a big fan of Forky. In fact, he even got a girlfriend at the end of the fourth film in the post-credit scene. There were many post-credits in 4, but that was one of them. But yeah, I really thought that Toy Story 3 was stronger. I mean, it was a definitive end. They decided to make it feel like the final film, and it could have been, but they decided they wanted to continue the story, and because I think people wanted to know what was life like with Bonnie, and it's different. It's very different. It's not like Andy at all, and Andy is he's a different character, obviously, and in the third one he doesn't appear to care about his toys, but he does. He really does, and the adventure that the toys go on for Sunnyside is a lot more fun than the adventure that toys go on in 4. I will say the humor was still really good in both of them. 3 was stronger because there's a really really funny line in 3 where Mr. Potato Head is like, all there was some sand and a couple of Lincoln Logs, and then Ham's like, I don't think it was Lincoln Logs, which is it's meant to be a reference to poop because there were some kids pooping in the sandbox. It's like weird, but 3 didn't have Bo Peep, although she was in the recording, like a little flashback scene with young Andy, but she wasn't actually in the movie itself, like an actual character, which is unfortunate. It turns out in 4 we get to realize after she was given away, that owner got older and gave her up too. So it's kind of like that's the way it is. It's very amazing the character development, but at the same time, they changed Bo Peep's design. I mean, I get it. People don't really understand that. People don't understand how animation can change, but when you change animation, it changes how the characters look. So Bo Peep looks way different than she did in the first 3 films than in 4. But my first 3, I mean, because of that flashback in 3, where she looks exactly the same as she did in the first 2, and then they changed the design. She looks modernized, I guess. I mean, she doesn't really wear her dress anymore, because she's a shepherdess in the earlier films, but obviously in this one she's kind of more laid back and a little more adventurous, I feel like. But what's really interesting about Toy Story 4, along with Bonnie's toys, is a pair of 2 new toys that are just in this it's carnival, and there's witness the animal kind of thing, what a toy kind of thing, and basically there's these 2 toys. There's a duck and a bunny, and both are voiced by a comedic pair of actors. I believe the name of the duo is Keel and Peele. I'm pretty sure it's Keegan-Michael Key for Key, and then Jordan Peele for Peele. And they voice 2 best friend plush animals. They're so cute and so funny, and they're just the best. Especially at the end, they just have the best comedic time. But we're also introduced to a new toy called Duke Boob, who is a Canadian stuntman, and he's also voiced by Keanu Reeves, who's also Canadian. I thought he was American, but he's a Canadian. And at the very end of the movie, he even gets to say his iconic "whoa" kind of thing. It's kind of like Owen Wilson's catchphrase of "wow." You have Keanu Reeves saying "whoa," his Neo thing. It's amazing. I love that. But yeah, I feel that's what distincts the 4 from each other. Is the first 2 have the same animation quality, which means they kind of feel the same. And the last 2 feel the same because of the animation. So again, really about quality and all that stuff. I believe all the actors came back except for maybe 1 or 2. And some of them passed away and all that stuff in the when they were 3 and all that stuff. It's sad, and I will admit both movies made me tear up. I will admit 3 was a bit more hard hit because it really hit me hard a lot more, which is crazy. I really to have an animated movie really touch you that way because of how they've grown, and because 3 was meant to be kind of the setup for the franchise, even though they were actually making a fourth one, we didn't know it yet. Actually, what's interesting about 4 was that it was originally scheduled for 2018, but that's when Incredibles 2 came out, so they had to push it back. So there you go. But no, yeah, I really enjoyed 3 more. You know, plus 3 had a really cool, cinematic opening. I mean, we don't really realize it's just Andy using his imagination with his toys when he's playing with his toys. But it's basically like, you have Woody and Jesse, against the potato heads, and they're basically fighting, to rescue the people on the train. And then Buzz is there, and then you have Rex being a dinosaur, and then you have like a pork chop being Ham, in a machine, flying shifting. That's really cool. I love the fact that they have that. Just I mean, you understand that it's basically just like Andy's playing with the toy, but at the same time, I just love it. It's fantastic. I feel like Toy Story 3 had a really good plot because of going to Sunnyside and dealing with Lotso, and it can basically be like you can't escape kind of thing because the toys basically prevent you from escaping. It's basically like, oh yeah, you don't like being played rough? Well, too bad. They gotta have someone to play with, and that's basically just like that's why Lotso is the villain, because he doesn't care. He understands, but it's like, okay, that's the way you're gonna do it, and then too bad, basically. And then 4, it's kind of the same thing too, where Gabby isn't letting Woody and Forky escape. She won't let them. Like she wants Woody's voice box, and then Lotso just doesn't want them to leave because it's I guess to feel the pain that he felt. Kind of like that. It's weird. It's confusing. It doesn't make any sense, but at the same time, it's a lot better. Plus, like 3 had the toys like wandering the halls, making sure no one was escaping. 4 had the Benson dolls. She's kind of like watching the antique shop. It's fantastic. Also the humor. The humor in these movies are fantastic. I really enjoyed them. But for the plot of the 2, with toys going to Sunnyside, and getting past the Bonnie and moving to college, all that kind of stuff, going to the end of the world basically with the dumpster, them holding hands before they die, and then tell the aliens like the claw, which I love, and then scooping them up, and then Lotso being carried away, and then finally taking his toys to Bonnie to give them away, and then actually playing with them for the last time, because I think that's what made 3 so special. It was a literal passing of the torch, where Andy gave his toys to Bonnie, and in doing so also play with them for the last time, because they thought he didn't care about them, but he just he may have said they were drunk, but he really did care about them. He really wanted to give them to a different owner. It was going away, but just he wanted to give them someone else that could take care of them. And then 4 was even more emotional, is the fact that I feel like even the actors struggle with their lines with this one because it was the last one in the franchise. As far as I'm pretty sure there's not going to be a 5th one. That's why I didn't put it in the intro, because I'm pretty sure this is the last one. There's not. As far as I'm concerned, there's no announcement for the 5th one. I mean, they could do it, but I don't think they will, probably, because I think the actors are after they're done with the franchise, or in this case, the Quadrilogy, because it's a now 4-film series. I think they'll probably the most Pixar films in one series, because I know that Cars had 3 in them, Monsters Inc. has a 2, the Finding Nemo series has a 2, Incredibles has a 2. Basically, all of them have had at least 2 or 3 in them at one point. Toy Story is one of the ones that has the most in the franchise. And in that 4th one where because Woody is going with Go-P because he doesn't know what to do. He wants to go with Loki because she's his girlfriend. He loves her. He's always loved her. They've always been that thing in the previous films. I mean, when you think about Jessie, she's just like a sister. She's literally a sister, because they're both from the same toy lineup, the Roundup. That thing actually plays when Jessie's on the seat kind of thing. But I definitely felt like Toy Story 4 was a definitive end, just because it was the last time that we were going to see Woody, and it really emotionally hurt Woody because he was like, this is my choice. And at the same time, it's kind of like, I feel like with the passing of the badges, like when Bonnie is playing with Jesse and taking the badge off of Woody because she won't play with him, and then giving it to Jesse, it's kind of like, I guess maybe foreshadowing that Jesse's going to become the new sheriff, and that Woody's going to be going on with Loki because, that's what he wants to do, which is insane. It's just incredible, what they really managed to do, and I love it for that. And yeah, of course, with the 4th film, we get a, little cameo from Andy 2 from 3. It's like, the 4th film opens with them, rescuing RC, after the events of Toy Story 2. And it officially opens at the very end of Toy Story 3 where Andy is passing the torch on to Bonnie and, playing with her and all that stuff. It's wonderful. I love that. Also, the logos are really interesting. The first one was, pretty basic. 2 had it flying into the logo, just kind of like that. 3 was like, like you're making something like 3, like that. 4 was just like, there you go. I mean, nothing really much to say about it. Just like 4 was really sweet. It was really funny, like especially at the end when the RV kept like doing that, like it was out of control kind of thing. The GPS going crazy, all that was fantastic. But yeah, no, I'm glad it ended, but at the same time I'm sad too because these movies have been fantastic. 3 definitely felt like a proper end of the series, but they wanted to continue the story and then properly say goodbye to the characters. And of course, the actors were emotional about it because it's the last film, so that's like what always how they feel like. But one thing that's very interesting about 3 to 4 is that 3, and I'm pretty sure this goes with Toy Story 1 and 2, is that 3 has the credit of Walt Disney Pictures Presents, obviously. But then 4, because I'm pretty sure this is like a corporate thing because Disney was all like on like under one big umbrella where Disney was like a corporate monopoly. It isn't a monopoly now, but like because of that, they just calling it Disney. They're not calling it Walt Disney Pictures. They're just calling it Disney. Like literally, just cut it out. They just like Disney. It's no longer Walt Disney Presents. It's just Disney because Disney owns like everything now. I mean, it's not like not really a big deal, but it's just like it's interesting. Like very interesting. But also at the same time, we do get more young Andy in 4 than we get in 3. I feel like I think there's not as much in the 3 and 4, but like I don't know. Each of these films are different, and 3 just felt better. It felt like a better end because it was more climactic. But 4 was just like a nice small adventure with Woody taking care of Bonnie because he has to accept that responsibility and taking care of Porky, all that stuff. It's incredible, what they've been able to do. And 3 was like adjusting to this new daycare thing. Woody isn't really in it at all. He does not want to be a part of this. Like he's Andy's toy. He's loyal to him. Yes, Andy's going to college, but he wants to be loyal to him. If you go into the attic, that's the way it's going to be. Initially, the toys in Toy Story 3 feel like Andy doesn't care about them anymore because they think he threw them out, but really it was his mom doing it. And then later on, Mrs. Potato Head sees that Andy can't find the toys he was going to put in the attic, and mom was responsible for it. So kind of like that emotional impact of the exact thing. It's incredible, and that's why I feel like 3 was a better end to the trilogy, and it should have said a trilogy, but unfortunately they added more. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have made a 4th one. I'm just like, I kind of feel like now that I've seen both movies enough times, I kind of understand why people thought that 3 was a better finale, and that 4 was not really particularly necessary. It was a very strong way to actually finally end the quadrilogy or the series or whatever we'll call it, franchise, because of how Woody is like the staple of the franchise. It's amazing how the franchise has changed and evolved since '95. In fact, that number is also an Easter egg in Toy Story 3 in the cinematic, which is actually probably my favorite aspect of Toy Story 3, to be honest. The opening cinematic, because it really feels like an adventure that Andy would have with his toys in an imagination. Because obviously it's I guess the charm is broken or the spell is broken after we realize what's actually happening. But like the opening cinematic is just epic. It feels really, really good. It feels like what they did with Toy Story 2, where it's basically just Rick playing a video game of Buzz Lightyear, and Buzz Lightyear just like helping him. But like 3 definitely felt more cinematic. Don't get me wrong, 3 was crazy because of how evil Lotso is and just how insane he is, and also you gotta love Spanish Buzz. He is so funny. Spanish Buzz is the best part of Toy Story 3 for sure. He's just so funny. He's like, because Jesse doesn't understand what's going on. It's like, what's wrong with Buzz? Like, it's the fact that Lotso changed Buzz back to his factory setting, back to where he was acting in the first film, and he goes turns into Spanish mode. It's just like, what the hell? Eventually, since Toy Story 2 ended with Jesse, taking a liking to Buzz, like a real liking, which is weird because how can toys feel emotions, and how can toys, love that kind of thing? I mean, because they're toys. And then 4, they really sit together. Buzz really. You really felt for Woody, to be honest. It was really emotional. Because of how satisfying Toy Story 3 happened. And I don't know, like Toy Story 3 had a really great thing going for it. But then Toy Story 4 happened, and I mean, I've heard people have said that Toy Story 4 is the worst one of them all. It is not. It's not. It's not. It's far from it. I definitely feel like it doesn't have the best plot. Like I said it before many times in this review. It didn't have the best plot within Forky. I was kind of like, when I first heard the announcement they were doing a fourth one, and I heard about the plot they were doing, with the spork. I'm like, what? Just stick with 3. Make the 3 ending. I mean, the only reason I went to see this movie, I'm only being this expressive about it because I love the Toy Story franchise. I mean, it was interesting, definitely interesting, but at the same time, it's weird because, like, how is Forky alive? He's a spork. He's made for trash, and that's like the ongoing, theme throughout the movie is that he keeps thinking he's trash, which is crazy. But also, I really felt like 3 and 4 shared a lot of the same characters. A lot of them, like Barbie, for example, she and Ken basically become the new face of Sunnyside, like the cat and the caterpillar, making the caterpillar room a lot more groovy because it's horrible because of because reading was like, oh yeah, we'll make it better. We'll make Sunnyside a whole lot better by having like I think it is like the once the toys get the rough housed like they are, then once they're done with being rough housed, then they get a nice little clean or whatever. Like they get treated nicely by the other toys, even though the kids are being horrible to them. And then the sandbox is like this big party thing, and that's where Barbie and Ken end up being. That's what they do. I mean, I did like the dream house. To be honest, I did like the dream house. The dream house for Toy Story 3 was really nice. I liked it a lot. And that's obviously the classic romance where the woman falls in love with the man instantly. It's just like they don't really start to the very well. It's like really. I mean, the big thing about Toy Story 3 is Woody's acceptance to this new life that they have. Sunnyside. They don't realize Sunnyside is actually evil because of how the old toys treat the new toys, and it's basically like a prison essentially. I mean, it does turn into a prison later on. Like and also I love the fact that they over there actually have a plan of breaking out and all that stuff. I mean, it's just like it's amazing. But and again with 4, same kind of thing where it's like it's basically a race against time to make sure that Bonnie has her toys because she keeps losing them, and all that stuff, and Bonnie's really scared. And also, one more thing about Toy Story 3 that I found was really cool, it was kind of like an Easter egg from the first film, is that when Woody is trying to rescue the toys from being dumped, which actually doesn't happen, the garbage man is actually Sid from the first film. We can tell that because of his shirt that has his skull on it. I mean, yeah, he's doing like little like jamming with like an iPod or whatever he's listening to, but it's him. You can't really tell, he's got a beard and everything, but it's him because of the shirt. So I felt like that was a really cool thing. And I did mention that in my original Toy Story 3 review before it was, of course, lost, hence why I'm remaking it here. But it was a really cool Easter egg, and I love how it connected the original 3 movies. But it was still a really cool little Easter egg, a little nod to the first one. Like, oh yeah, Sid's all grown up, just like Andy. There you go. It's like, you kind of wonder if maybe they were friends. Probably not, though, because he is evil, whatever. But still, it was a really cool Easter egg. That's pretty much it. So I'm going to go ahead and rank these. I think that's a pretty good time. I think I've pretty much said all I can say about 3 and 4. They're both good. 3 is better, but this is my opinion. I mean, I love the fact that both people returned, finally. I mean, that was fantastic. But I'm going to rank it here. So we have Toy Story 2 is number 1, for sure. Probably my favorite Toy Story film out of all 4 of them. To be honest, it's amazing. Just because of the adventure they go on and everything. I talk about it in my Toy Story 2 review, which I've edited a little more along with my Toy Story 1 review because I just felt like I was a bit sloppy with the editing. I wasn't able to edit all the way because for some reason YouTube editor isn't allowing you to do that, but it's still the best I can do. I don't know. Toy Story 1 probably. It's kind of like the number 2 spot is either 1 or 3. And I really can't decide. So maybe 1, I guess, sure, and then 3 and 4. So I mean, maybe I could have 2 different rankings. It could be 2, 1, 3, 4. My second one would be 2, 3, 1, 4. I can't decide. It's kind of like there's 2 versions of that. So you take that with what you will. You can also let me know in the comments below what your ranking for the 4 Toy Story films are, just based off plot alone and just how fun they are and just the characters involved and just everything like that. Just let me know in the comments which Toy Story film is your favorite, and how would you rank them from best to worst. They're all really good in their own way because all of them scored at least 100%. I think the 4th one, it started up at 100%, but it got lower. I think it was like 97%. I swear, it was 100%. Like when it first came out, it was 100%, but it's up to like 3%. It doesn't make any sense. I guess that's the way it is. I can't really understand how that works, but that's just the way it is. All of them have 100%. I'm pretty sure. I think 2 might have less than that. I can't remember how it works. I'd have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure all of them have 100% except for maybe the last 2. I can't remember. I think it was 2 having less than that, or and then the 4 having less than that. I can't remember. The voice acting is phenomenal, especially the 4th one. That's amazing. Everything about these last 2 films are fantastic. I felt bad about this review being lost. You know, I felt so bad. Like, I deleted them. I did not mean to do it. So yeah, that's why I wanted to remake this, because I knew I was never going to get it back. So I'm glad I did. I'm glad I was able to talk about both films at the same time and as best I can, because that's just the way it is. But that is going to do it for this episode of Reviewed. I'm really glad I did this. It was fantastic. I know it's not the same. I try to make it as best I could to the original as I could. I know I can't do it, but you know, I think it's gonna look fine in the end. I think you'll really enjoy this. Again, both films are great in their own way, but obviously I think that I know the winner of the 2. 3 for sure. Also, one more thing you're gonna love Buzz for in this one, because 3 has Spanish Buzz, 4 has intercom voice. Like, he kept playing his intercom voice every time, and he was like, "Thank you, intercom voice." It's like he just kept playing. It's like he needs instructions. What do I do? Tap the button. Okay, now I know what to do. Probably my favorite aspect of Buzz is just using its intercom voice. He never uses it. It's like really funny. So there you go. So rating now. Okay, so 3. I really didn't have any problems with it. Really didn't. It was fantastic. So 10 out of 10. 4. I don't know. 9 out of 10. I didn't adore it like I did 3, but 4 was still really good. So 9 out of 10. And please forgive me for that if you thought the 4 was more deserving of that, but that's just my opinion. I just felt like it didn't have the best story. I mean, they could have come out with something better than just a spork. Come on, really? But still, no, great film. Both are great. So that's all I'm going to say about Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 4. And that is going to do it for this episode. So, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Reviewed. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button. I really appreciate the support. And if you are new to this channel, subscribe for the next episode of this series. You can also check out the next chronological episode, which is my review on Turbo. You can also check out the previous chronological episode, which is my Toy Story 2 review. Also, make sure to click that bell to enable alerts so you don't miss any of my uploads. And I will see you guys next week for a new episode. Alright? See ya.